Today on Judge Faith, the price of a cruise ticket may have just cost them their friendship.
All I want to know is, what's the reason you haven't paid the $22.50 back? Because you told me you went on the Soul Train cruise and you didn't miss a single show.
I hope you don't let that money get in our way. She said, no, Jane, I value your friendship.
So you go on the cruise, you come back, and now you're not friends. What happened?
And later, helping out his landlord drove him out of the building.
So you decide to move out. Why'd you move out?
Because I would get threats.
Oh, so we got serious.
Yes, ma'am. And he came to my house, you know, and he just hit my door real hard, you know. And I was like, Ma, and I said, why you knocking on my door like you the police, man? And he goes like this. He looks at me, he goes, if I was a police, you'd have been dead, you damn fool.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Eugenia Cornibert is suing her former friend for $2,250, the remaining cost of a cruise. Defendant Lawan Guppy says her friend let her down, so she doesn't owe.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, we have Cornibert versus Guppy.
Thank you, Barbara. Eugenia Cornibert?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant, Luann Guppy?
Yes.
For $2,250 for an unpaid loan for a trip the two of you took together?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you start with telling me how you know Miss Guppy?
I got to know Miss Guppy through a mutual friend of mine, our friend, that is.
Okay.
And we went on, we go parties together. And
what kind of parties?
House parties, clubs.
Okay, so you go out together?
Karaoke, beg your pardon?
So you go out together?
Yeah, we go out together. We had a wonderful time.
What was your relationship like with Miss Guppy before the two of you took this trip together? Had you traveled together before?
No, we haven't traveled, but we go out parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of mutual friends?
Friends?
Yes.
No, we just a special guy that I got to know her through.
And when you say special guy, what do you mean by that?
Oh, well, he's special because when we go out, he takes us places.
Okay.
And we would pick her up, we all go out together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was it like a date?
No, not dates, we just hang out. He's just a nice friend.
Is that true,
He's
Miss
from my
Guppy?
country.
Yes, we do hang.
What do you say about your friendship?
Our friendship?
Prior to this trip, how would you describe your relationship with the
It
plaintiff?
was pretty good. We used to have a lot of fun with my friend, and I get to.
I'm just trying to figure out why the two of you keep interjecting this special friend.
Yeah.
Is there something I need to know?
Because he is our friend. He was our friend.
Okay.
I mean, from being friends with him, that's how I get to be friends with Jean. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so tell me about the trip that you decided to take. What happened? Why were you taking a cruise? Was it a special occasion?
It's called the Soul Train Cruise.
Okay.
And I saw it, and I told a friend of mine, and she was unable to go because she's just going to start a job.
So you had another friend who was going to go on the cruise with you, but then she couldn't go.
Yeah, because she's just about to start a job. So I talked about it, and she heard. And she said, oh, I would like to go on a cruise. Oh, I have never been on a cruise, and I would like to go on a cruise.
So why is this cruise called the Soul Train Cruise?
It's called the Soul Train Cruise, just as on TV a long time ago, they used to have the Soul Train.
Right.
It was that, Soul Train Cruise, with all these celebrities on board.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, I spoke about it, and she heard, I told her, and she said, oh, I'd like to go on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise, and I've always wanted to go on a cruise on my birthday. So I said, okay. She said, but I want to go. I want to go. I said, but how are you going to pay? She said, but I have money. I'm going to get money from my credit union. And she said, I put money there, and I'm going to get some, and I'm going to pay you. And so then she gave me the money for the flight. So I did that.
So you booked the flight. Where were you flying out of?
JFK.
Okay.
To Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We took the boat to Mexico.
Okay, so she gave you money for the flight.
For the flight, but
and how much was that?
That's $400.
Okay, and how much was the cruise?
The cruise is $2,800
$2,800
per person. And she was so excited. Oh my God, she was. And I want to go, I want to go. Oh, Jean, I want to go. I said, all right, I'll do it, you know? And I did.
So why were you so excited to go on the cruise?
Listen, it wasn't that. Yes, I was excited to go on the cruise, right? But this is the thing. Every year, like for my birthday or whatever occasion, I'm always cooking and I'm always inviting everybody over and stuff. And I said, you know what? This year for my birthday, I want to go on a cruise.
So you agreed to pay for your portion of the cruise. How was the cruise?
It was great. I had a good time.
Okay, let's just get that out of the way.
I did. I had a good time.
So you go on the cruise, you come back, and now you're not friends. What happened?
This is where my money comes in, because she paid me 3 times, $200, $200, and $150.
Right, and you're suing for the remainder, $2,250.
Right. But then she was paying me in slow motion, very slow motion, you know, because she came one day to give me, I'm sorry to jump up, she came to pay me one time on my job, and I don't know how deep that bag was. That bag was as deep as a basement all the way down, and that money couldn't get out of that bag. She brought it for me, but it wouldn't come out.
Coming up on Judge Faith, what's the real reason she didn't pay for the cruise?
So she never paid you back the remainder $2,250 for the cruise?
No.
And there was an agreement. You agreed to pay her back the money for the cruise, right? So why haven't you paid the $2,250?
And later,
I was like, Ma, and I said, why you knocking on my door like you the police, man? And he looks at me, he go, if I was the police, you'd have been dead, you damn fool.
plaintiff Eugenia Cornibert is suing her former friend for her portion of a cruise. Defendant Lawan Guppy says they are no longer friends.
So she never paid you back the remainder $2,250 for the cruise?
No.
And there was an agreement. You agree that you agreed to pay her back the money for the cruise, right?
Yes.
So why haven't you done it?
As I said, I went to Jean and I told Jean, I said, listen, the first time I carried the money for her and stuff, that I had the $200, then I ended up doing
I know you paid her $200 twice.
No, I did
and
$150 first, and then $200, and then the other $200.
No,
Okay,
Yeah,
whatever
200,
order it is,
200.
ladies, I don't care.
Sorry.
You paid her $550.
Right.
Why haven't you paid the $2,250?
It just, my plan was to give her back the money. That's the original plan, was to give her back the money.
Okay, that was the plan.
No,
What
she
happened?
never told me that she had some friend before that she made plans with to go to the Soldier Cruise. You hear what she said?
What that got to do
Ma'am,
with
it
that?
sounds like
The
you're just
fact
coming
is-
up with some
No,
stuff
no,
right
no,
now.
no, no,
Sounds
no.
like
You
you're
hear
just
what you said
talking.
just now? You hear what you said just now?
What that got to do with that?
You make plans with your friend,
Miss
and then
Guppy,
when you squashed it,
Didn't you accept?
You squashed it. I accepted to go, but
But what
you
that got to do with
squashed
that?
it because you had plans with your other friend.
That has nothing.
Yes, it
now
have
no
a
one
lot
gotta
to do
pay
with that.
me.
It
You
have
come in
a
with
lot to do
simple
with that.
story like that. That
No,
don't make
no,
sense.
it have a lot to do, and that shows
This
that.
sounds like a story that my 14-year-old niece would tell
I
me
know,
about something
I
that
know.
happened in school
I
one
know
day,
that.
just so you know.
Yes.
But go
this is-
ahead. You still have not answered my question at this point. I don't even know if it matters. I just wanted to know if you had a legitimate reason for not paying back the $2,250 you owe her. And I'm trying to understand what the reason is. So let me explain to you how the law works. You don't have to like her to pay her back the money you owe her. A lot of people don't like the IRS, but they pay their money when it's due because they know they owe the IRS money. That's not the way it works. If you owe her money, whether she's your friend or not, the agreement was not, as long as I like you, I'll pay you back the money for this cruise. That was not the agreement. The agreement was you would go on the cruise and you would pay her back the money for the cruise. You went on the cruise, didn't miss a show, and now when it comes to the money, you're giving me all these excuses as to why you haven't paid her, ma'am. And what I'm telling you is none of them are sufficient. None of them are a reason. My judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. You owe her $2,250. Pay her, and I'm glad you guys had a wonderful time on the cruise. And I hope you get to take another one together. Have a good day.
Plaintiff Chris Martin says he helped the defendant maintain his apartment complex in exchange for cheaper rent, but found him to be so disrespectful that he had no choice but to move. Defendant Martin Hernandez says that he already returned the plaintiff's security deposit and he owes nothing more. He is countersuing for defamation of character.
Mr. Chris Martin, you are suing the defendant Martin Hernandez for $600, the return of your security deposit.
Yes.
And you are countersuing Mr. Hernandez for $600 for defamation of character?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll start with you, Mr. Martin.
Okay, in 2009, I had moved into his apartment. I was cleaning my apartment. I had my music up, you know. And he came to the door, you know, and he just bammed on my door real hard, you know, kind of, you know. And I walked to the door and I looked. I was like, yes. He go, turn your music down, you know. And I looked at him. I said, well, who is you? He goes, I'm the owner, like that. So I turned it down, you know. I looked back at him. I said, that low enough? He goes, no, turn it down some more. And I just looked at him. I just closed my door, you know.
So that was the start of how you met the defendant?
Yes.
Okay.
And at that point, you know, I kind of felt like, you know, that he and I, you know, we weren't going to get along, you know. But then, around about 2013, he came to me asking me to do a little handy things around the place.
Okay, so let's back up for 1 second. So when did you move in? You own an apartment building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you moved into a unit in this building? Okay, and what kind of apartment were you renting?
1 bedroom.
Okay, and so you fast forward to 2013, and what happened? He approached you about what?
Well, they was having problems in the building, and he asked me to...
What do you mean problems in the building?
People just loitering around. So basically it was just to, one, let me know if anything's going on that shouldn't be going on, because part of the job of being a little bit of a site manager was, one, in the morning you had to open the gates because we had a laundry in the back.
I wasn't a site manager. You know, and I was doing
And he would pay
that.
you some extra money to do that, to do these sort of things around the apartment building?
Yes, a little change he'd give me every now and then. But in the process of it, Mr. Hernandez, he don't know how to talk to people. You know, he in the area where the garbage can was, you know, I showed him the condoms, tobacco rollings where they was doing different things, you know, and I didn't tell him who it was or who was doing it.
So after that, you found out that people well, I read your complaint. After that, you found out that people in the building thought that you were snitching on them.
Because he was going back telling them, like, he went straight down there, went down there, told them, I seen him I was standing in the doorway, he pointed at my apartment. Yeah, Mr. Martin, he told me, you know, he told me what y'all was doing.
Let me ask a question. Did you ever tell the residents that it was Mr. Martin providing you with this information?
They're
Yes,
just,
he
they're
did,
just
Your Honor,
assuming it because he's kind of the guy who's cleaning up. So
They
they
came back
actually
and told
assume
me
he's
that
doing
he
it.
was that he was snitching me out.
And
You
how
know
big
what
of
I'm
a
saying?
problem, let me just ask you this.
told-
How big of a problem is it being labeled a snitch?
They will hurt you. People was telling me that he told them that I told him that, you know, what was going on.
So what happened? So you decided to move out what month?
I moved out in August of 2013
Okay, and why'd you move out?
because I was getting threats. This man here one night...
So we
I
got serious.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming up on Judge Faith, the landlord's words have consequences.
And he just hit my door real hard. You know, it scared me. I'm not gonna lie. I got up. Why you knocking on my door like you the police, man? He goes like this. He looks at me. He goes, if I was a police, you'd have been dead, you damn fool.
Plaintiff Chris Martin is suing his former landlord, saying he made it impossible to live there. Defendant Martin Hernandez says he never sold out the plaintiff.
So what happened? So you decided to move out. Why'd you move out?
Because I was getting threats.
So we
night,
got serious.
Yes, ma'am. In the apartment, you have good people, you have bad people. You know, he begged me to tell him what was going on. I told him, I was like, Martin, I don't want to tell you what's going on in here because, you know, I don't want you going back saying nothing that I say anything because they label people, you know, as being snitches, you know. Mm-hmm. This guy here, he goes back. I told him one thing. I told him about some trash that they had threw on the ground, you know, like real dirty trash, you know. And I told him, I said, well, Martin, you have to come out and get it because I'm not going to pick it up. You know, so he came out and he seen the trash and he went straight upstairs. You know, and I told him, I said, Martin, don't say anything to him. If you do, don't tell him I told you, you know. He went straight down there, went down there, told him. So after that, I had called him and told him about a garbage disposal. And he came to my house, you know, and I was sitting on my couch. And he just hit my door real hard, you know, it scared me. I'm not gonna lie. I got up, I walked to the door, And I looked, it's him, you know, and I looked at him,
Who'd
I
you
opened the door.
who'd you think it
and I
would
was
be?
like, Ma, and I said, why you knocking on my door like you the police, man? And he goes like this, he looks at me, he goes, if I was a police, you'd have been dead, you damn fool. And I looked, and he walked past me, and I walked behind him, I looked at him, I said, oh, I'm a damn fool? And he just kept walking, you know, and he bent down, and Judge, I would have went to jail. I saw him and kicked you in your temple, man. I'm being honest with you. And he was squatting down, you know, and I was looking at him, you know, and I asked him again. I said, you call me a damn fool? I said, oh, I'm a damn fool? He still didn't say nothing. I reached in my pocket when he finished. I gave him his keys. You start doing your own business, man. And he go, oh, okay, like this, and he just walks out.
And that's when you decided to move out of the building?
Probably, yes, right then. Because
Okay.
I felt like if I had stayed, I would have been a damn fool. You know what I'm saying? He's disrespectful, and he, you know, I had to get out. And that's when I asked him for a 30-day notice, you know. And at first, when I asked him for the 30-day notice, he was like giggling through the phone, you know. And I told him, I said, Martin, you know, really, it's not funny. You know, I said, really, it's not funny. I said, because these people, they mad at me for what you going back telling them. I said, but if something happened to me, you gonna regret it, just like that. And he told me, he said, I tell you what, I'm at work right now, I'll call you back. So he called me the next day and told me that he was signing the 30-day notice, you know.
Okay, so then you move out and you paid a $600 security deposit, correct?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
you don't deny that he paid the $600 security
No, I
deposit.
did. I got
and
it right here.
And he
He
was
paid
up
it.
to date on his rent, correct?
Yes.
How much were you paying a month?
About $140.
Okay, so why did you keep the $600 security deposit?
I didn't. I returned it. I got the receipt for the check that I gave him right here.
Okay, let me see that.
Okay. I gave him $500 back. Out of $600 in security deposit, I gave him $500 back.
But the check don't say
Why?
anything about a security deposit.
Why'd you give
It's
him
a
only
clean.
$500?
Because, ma'am, after he moved out, now understand he was there for a few years, and there's normal wear and tear, but also there's maintenance that I had to do after he moved out.
So what did you do?
Oh,
Show me receipts.
Clean the carpets right here, $160.75.
Wait, how many years did you live in that
I
unit?
lived in that place for 4 years, and when I moved, I cleaned the
So
carpet.
you're keeping part of the security deposit because you cleaned the carpet?
And also for the painting, $787.
Your Honor.
Anyways, total came out to $948.
Okay,
So out of that, out of approximately $950, I'm only keeping $100. I'm not
Okay,
keeping.
so
I'm not
let me-
keeping all $600.
You kept my whole
hold on a second.
$600.
Hold on a second. Why does this check? Well, first of all, what you said about painting and carpet and all of that, a tenant has lived in that unit for 4 years. You're going to have to clean the carpet. You're going to have to repaint for the next tenant. You can't charge him for that. But this check that you gave me, that you sent to him for $500, it has a notation here that this is for a cleaning refund. What is that about?
Well, cleaning, for having to do the cleaning and the maintenance of the carpet, painting out the building. Also, ma'am.
This check doesn't say that this is a reimbursement for a security deposit. So based on everything, the evidence that you've presented to me, I don't think that that is sufficient.
Now, Judge Faith rules.
You were getting paid to do certain odds and ends around the building, I
Yes,
assume?
yes.
Okay, and so this check doesn't say that this is a reimbursement for a security deposit. It says it's a $500 check reimbursement for a cleaning refund. So based on everything, the evidence that you've presented to me and your testimony about why you kept the additional $100, sir, I don't think that that is sufficient proof that you've presented today as to why you kept $600
Well, also, there was a
security
stain
deposit.
in the carpet.
Sir, I'm ruling, and my judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. Pay him the full amount, $600 security deposit plus court costs.
Thank
Judgment
you,
for the
Your Honor.
plaintiff.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.